Good morning. It's June 23rd June 2025. And of course, we're onto the program Inside Nigeria. On this first half of the show, we look at newspaper review, talking about some cover stories on some select national newspapers, including Nigeria's most influential leadership and its sister publication, National Economy. My name is Winifred Ugbebo, your host on the program. Right away, we move to leadership newspaper on our menu. And of course, let's see what leadership has on its cover. Leadership incidentally has two covers today, this Monday. It has the first cover advert, and we go inside for the leading stories. The leading story says Constitutional Amendment. Senate considers 31 proposals for state creation. Constitution Amendment. Senate considers 31 proposals for state creation. Receives 7 requests from Northeast, 6 from Northwest, 3 from Southeast. Pushes to grant full autonomy to 774 local governments. 20B seek judiciary overhaul judgment timelines. Leading story today on leadership newspaper. Of course, beneath that, we also have pictures of the satellite view showing the overview of further underground complex after the U.S. struck the underground nuclear facility near Qom, Iran, June 22, 2025. The pictures are courtesy of Reuters. We have their 4 pictures gracing the cover of leadership this Monday. Moving to other stories gracing the cover, Sierra Leone's Madabio succeeds Tinubu as new ECOWAS chairman. The story runs on page 22 of leadership. Windstorm Case 5 destroys 1,400 houses in Sokoto. Serap asks Tinubu to refer Benue killings to ICC for investigation. 2 died retrieving phone from latrine. This story is on page 29 of leadership. And moving towards the masthead, we have Lie, Tinubu backed Abiola presidency fires back at Lamido. There's a trending story that we have on the cover of leadership, and incidentally on some of the papers we have on our lineup this morning. And we are also going to be having conversation on that with a guest in the second half of the program. On the business bus of leadership analysis, Iran-Israel war and the effect on Nigeria is an analysis done by Professor Tayo Bello. The story continues on page 10 of leadership. However, let's take excerpts from this cover story. The beginning of the Israel-Iran war started on June 13, 2025, after a bomb blast from Israel, and the subsequent retaliation by Iran has not only created a new tempo of conflicts, but a dimensional trend globally. The war will affect Nigeria with a double-edged sword, one with a positive trend and the other with a negative malady. The global price of crude oil will swing up, bringing revenue to the country. On the other hand, there will be a price surge with an inflationary spiral for domestic prices of diesel, petrol, and others. Excerpts from the business story on the business bus on leadership cover this Monday. Analysis, Iran-Israel war and the effect on Nigeria. The story continues on page 10 of the paper. That takes us to the stories about the masthead of leadership. Tinubu condemns Plateau killings, Borno suicide bombing. Governor Abba K. Yusuf ahead of his time, coming from architect Ali Hassan. Of course, it's promotional and continues on page 9 of leadership. From there, we'll move to our stand today, this Monday. Our stand, like I always explain, is the editorial and the view of the paper for the day. And today's stand is on concerns about teacher qualification. Concerns about teacher qualification. Recently, the Nasarawa State Governor, Abdullahi Sule, said that half of the over 4,200 teachers recruited through the back door as against his earlier directive of 1,000 teachers were not qualified. This is even as the chairman of the Bauchi State Universal Basic Education Board, SUBEB, Alhaji Adamu Mohammed Dugari, expressed concern that while the state government is investing heavily in education, many teachers were not living up to their responsibilities. Unfortunately, teacher qualification has become an issue as many state governments raise concerns regarding their ability to discharge their duties. Let's move towards the conclusion, the view of the paper. If we want to improve education at primary schools, the government must insist that well-qualified teachers are hired and their salaries must be paid as at when due. It's often said that a teacher's reward is in heaven. This reward in heaven cliché is the one reason many young school leavers run away from teaching profession. We recognize that teachers rightly need heaven on earth. The inhuman treatment meted out on them, despite their crucial role in both human and national development, deserves attention. If there's anything Nigeria needs to do, is to encourage young, elegant minds who are into teaching and have the desire to become teachers by rewarding them here on earth before assessing the heavenly reward. Excerpts from today's stand in leadership concerns about teacher qualification. From that page, we move to the back page of leadership, where we have Monday column with Dakuku Peter's side. This Monday's column is on Israel-Iran conflict, the Nigerian connection. Israel-Iran conflict, the Nigerian connection. And from the quote, it says, with the 2025 budget benchmarked at $75 per barrel, any sudden climb toward $100 looked like a gift from chaos. That's a good one. It's also buttressed the article today on the Business Boss on leadership analysis, Iran-Israel war and the effect on Nigeria. Before we leave the back page, let's see what Ghana Must Go is saying this Monday. Ghana Must Go says, World Bank projects was economic downturn for 2025. News on Ghana Must Go. World Bank project was economic downturn for 2025. And the news Ghana Must Go says, back to sender. Back to sender. For more, log into www.leadership.ng. From leadership, we'll move ahead to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is The Guardian. The Guardian has full stories on its cover page this Monday. It says, Israel-Iran war, hope for Nigeria's troubled fiscal outlook as oil prices head to $80. Just the same as back page column, Monday column that Kuku put aside writes on in leadership this Monday. Iran-Israel war, hope for Nigeria's troubled fiscal outlook as oil prices head to $80. The story continues on page 6, of The Guardian. However, let's read the illustrations beneath that leading story. Israel-Iran tensions shake markets, oil and energy, and crude oil surges by $14. Precious metals and safe haven currencies. Gold prices jump, safe haven demand. Equities, global stocks tumble. Analysts adjusted short-term price target for Brent to $90, warning that the Middle East conflict could briefly cut 1.75 million barrels per day of Iranian oil. Illustrations beneath the leading story, Israel-Iran war, hope for Nigeria's troubled fiscal outlook as oil price head to $80. Still on the cover of The Guardian newspaper, Sanwo-Olu to meet APC stakeholders ahead of local government polls. Cloud burst, Ogun government urges calm as lightning kills 32 cows. Obi Atiku decry rising insecurity as Tinubu northern governors condemn killings. Insecurity escalates in Yenagoa, judge abducted, man confesses to killing toddler. Nigeria losing $500 million yearly to abandoned containers at ports, Serek wants. We move towards the mindset of The Guardian, ECOWAS, bio to champion democracy, security, regional reform. APC silent as PDP dismisses formation of ADA, a new political coalition party. Lamido differs with Yam over Tinubu's role in June 12 and NOMED. Like I said earlier, this is a leading story in the papers we have on our lineup today, Monday. And of course, we're also going to be throwing some conversations on that trending story. And that concludes the review of front headline stories on The Guardian this Monday. Don't forget to log into the website of The Guardian for continuation of these headline stories, www.guardian.ng. From The Guardian, we move over to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is The Guardian. However, before we talk about Punch, I want us to see Tribune. Nigerian Tribune says Senate begins nationwide public hearings on constitution review. Same leading story, almost same leading story on the constitution review on the cover of Leadership this Monday. 2027 controversy trace application to register ADA, the new coalition mega party. No decision yet on party adoption. Atiku, ADC National Chairman, disowns ADA, says coalition's platform may be unveiled this week. However, in another publication, INEC says they don't have any proposal or any letter for registration from any party. That takes us to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is The Punch. The Punch says pastoral crisis, 11 states embrace federal government ranching plan as killing surge. Governors offer lands, Adamawa, Bayelsa, others cautious. Farmers reject open grazing. The story continues on page 2. The story continues on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. From there, we move over to our sister publication, National Economy. National Economy's leading story says industrial decline, manufacturers worry as Nigeria's economy now 57% service-driven. Leading story today on National Economy. National Economy is a weekly business newspaper on the stable of Leadership newspaper. Industrial decline, manufacturers worry as Nigeria's economy now 57% service-driven. Investors shun manufacturing amid infrastructure decay, forest instability, others. Critical role of intellectual property rights on Nigeria's economic future. The story continues on page 10 of the paper. We move on to the masthead. Atop it, we have federal government launches national plan to curb CNG price fluctuations. SEC unveils crypto smart campaign to regulate stablecoins. These are leading story on today's National Economy business newspaper. Just before we leave National Economy, let's go to the editorial, and that is on page 3 of the paper. Revitalizing Nigeria's public institutions for national development. Revitalizing Nigeria's public institutions for national development. June 23 marks the United Nations Public Service Day, a global recognition of the value and virtue of public service in the development of societies. It's a day set aside to celebrate the critical role that public service plays in building effective, inclusive, and accountable institutions that respond to the needs of the people. For Nigeria, the commemoration is not only an opportunity for celebration, but also a moment of deep reflection on the state of its public service and the urgent need for transformative reforms. As from today's or this week's editorial on National Economy newspaper, Revitalizing Nigeria's Public Institutions for National Development. It's on this note we come to conclude the review of front headline stories, the editorial of the National Economy this Monday. Don't forget to log into the website of National Economy for continuation of these stories, www.nationaleconomy.com. So we've concluded the first half of today's Inside Nigeria on Leadership Television. We have the second half of the program coming in shortly with our guest in the studio. Don't go away. Stay tuned.
The culture-rich country of Turkey, which has hosted a myriad of civilization throughout the centuries, is a global pioneer in education. Turkey offers various lucrative opportunities for students. Despite its quality living standards, the cost of living in Turkey is affordable compared to other European countries. A diploma from globally recognized and renowned universities in Turkey will open every door for you. For more information, visit leadership.ng/study in Turkey.
God and country.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, the program is Inside Nigeria, your breakfast on Leadership Television. On this second half of the program, we are joining conversations on some of the trending issues. My name is Winifred Ubebo once again, and of course, I have my modern guest in the studio. He's a public affairs analyst. He's also a political economist, Dr. Aliyu Elias. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you on the program. Meanwhile, one of the leading stories, of course, trending too, is the issue of June 12. It's no longer news on Democracy Day. President Bola Tinubu actually confer awards, honors on some individuals who play a key role in that June 12 struggle for the acclaimed winner of June 12, that is MKO Abiola. However, the former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, has come out to say that contrary to everybody's expectations that President Bola Tinubu did not actually play a role, he was not a June 12 activist. And of course, has been generating back and forth from both sides of the divide, with his media handler coming out to say that his memory is distorted. In a leading story on This Day Today, in battle over June 12, Alake accuses Lamido of memory loss. What are your views?
It's quite interesting.
But how come history is distorted?
Well, they call it revisionism. Revisionism.
Yes.
I think that's the way Adanuga
Yes.
called it. But the fact remains that I actually take my time to listen to Lamido.
Yes.
No, Lamido was what he was saying, because that's why he also need to come out more. He's saying that Tinubu is a strong supporter of Babangida.
Yes.
That is what he was saying. That even the mother
also came out. Yes, I watched it to support
now,
IBB. Mobilized market women to come to Abuja.
The issue of June 12 actually is more of a Abacha.
Yes.
What I mean is that, during the by the time we expect Babangida to have given power to democracy,
yes,
he exits. Then Abacha now came.
I gave it to Iterim.
Exactly.
Soyenko.
I've been curious. We're talking about heroes of June 12. What about the villain of June 12? I think that's another area Nigeria has not looked at. We have to look at the two
And Lamido's memory or recount of the incident also corroborates what Kola Abiola gave. He gave an interview in The Sun that was about 2019, which he also alleged the same thing that Sule Lamido is saying now. And of course, Bode George then backed him up, that saying that, yes, being the first son of MKO, he was privy to some of the things that, that transpired. And that was that. And we also have the story of Yinka, the late Yinka Odumakin, who also was ferocious in his...
You recall that even Tinubu,
condemnation of
Tinubu actually went to exile. He actually went to exile.
No, but did you play the video of Lamido? The reason he actually went on exile was when he was denied the appointment.
It's the same thing we are saying now.
That is when he became that was when he became an activist.
Exactly. So these are the things that we need to... So for me, unfortunately, Lamido just released a book So I was expecting him to have captured all this.
But,
in the book.
but obviously, it came out before June 12 because he was not actually expecting that Tinubu will go the whole hog to give comfort awards.
So the thing is, let him also come. He shouldn't stop at that. Like people that he knew that actually know more about it. I think it's a good one. But for me, be that as it may, Nigeria have seen Tinubu as somebody who actually support June.
But you know that,
and
but you know
for democracy.
Dr. Ali, but you know that somehow you've seen that Kola Abiola has actually been silent on this.
Well, maybe he has achieved what he actually wanted, because you cannot also not trace his father being given GCN. You cannot change it from Tinubu support to, though he said he has been going to Jonathan, going to other presidents, even Yar'Adua, that it's only Buhari that could do. But, you know, Tinubu, we know is very close to them. So maybe he must have influenced. That's what we thought. So we expect Kola Abiola also to come out to actually put more. But I know him, he would not want to actually come out in this case. Then people are lashing Lamido so much, and for him to come clean, he need to also come out with some fact, because it looks as if it's an opposition game.
Yes.
You know, when you are talking, talking from a coalition, Kwashoko. Yes. There's something that is, you are going personal in this case. So we expect him to also
come out with more facts.
More facts. That's just what I think.
But how come my concerns is that how come we have history so distorted, and we have some of those that play their role in that. I
think our leaders
they are still alive, but why are they coming up with different?
They didn't even do us well because they didn't capture those things succinctly. You know, there's a way you capture history that this revisionism, according to Onanuga, wouldn't have come into play. But take that as maybe, I have issue with the response of the Tinubu spokesperson. When there was killing in Benue, it takes them 48 hours to actually talk. But this one is less than 12 hours. They have to come out, come out with rigor. You know, for you to see Alake even speaking, Alake that is not even
the media came out
to actually speak a lot. So it's a serious thing. It actually touches them. And you know that's the role of opposition. You remember, Erifai said, no matter what you do, always condemn opposition. So at this point in time, maybe Lamido and his coalition members are looking for every means to actually bring down this government, which is not a bad thing. You know, in as much as we are doing within the ambit of the law, you know, and this has to do with history. So they have to bring out the right history.
All right. Thank you so much. Now we are on this Iran-Israel crisis. And the point says petrol may hit 1,000 per litre as oil price soars. Nigeria is on the part of gaining because
nothing to celebrate.
As a political economist, remember the benchmark for oil in 2025 budget was just $70.
Yes, you know, our fear was that our budget will have issue when the thing was coming to 60.
Budget deficit.
We're thinking it's going to be budget deficit. Yes, for now. We are
but it's something to cheer about.
It's something to cheer about, but it has negative implications as well. Okay. So it has negative externalities. Let me give you a good example.
Yes.
So when you have oil soaring high, yes, the federal government smiles, but citizen will cry.
Yes.
Citizen will cry.
No, we're already buying now 55 naira.
And how do you cry is that it's a global product. And we don't have special price in Nigeria. So the more it goes up, you know, the more you also have to pay more
for it.
To also buy more. So these are the negatives. So the dynamics simply shows that citizens will suffer more, the federal government will get more. And as it's supposed to be, is that government should make a cushioning effect that in our country, since we own these natural resources, government is supposed to have a local price that will not be determined by international price until we come to that table and have that level. You know, maybe perhaps if our refinery is working, that's Nigerian own refinery working at optimum, right? So you can now use that as, you know, to cushion the effect. So instead of each soaring high, you can maintain that price and actually take it. Even Dangote also sell outside. You can also conditionalize them through competition. That, you know, if you make it high, Nigeria will not buy your own, they will go for. And now that Dangote is even more committed by buying 1,000 truck to actually supply our petroleum products, it would have been a time for him to actually come down to the benefit of Nigeria.
Okay. My worry is this: how come when price increases in the international market, our marketers, which are in a jiffy, increases their pump price. But that is not so when prices fall down in international market. They take time. It takes weeks for them to now want to adjust and reduce
it's
price.
Because of
is it that we don't have a good regulatory framework in place?
Even an NMDPR that is in charge of regulating them cannot do anything, simply because, like I said earlier, until we have a kind of economy whereby things are determined locally. But now, see the value of dollar. So two things affect Nigerian petroleum price: the dollar and the global price. So now that the global price is going up now, they don't have choice. They also have to move up because they also compete at international level. And that's why I say, if you look at Saudi Aramco, look at this Iran that have problem, look at Qatar, all those that have oil, they have their own domestic markets, you know, separate from global market. So when there's any global trouble, they can actually absorb it locally. And before it will reflect, it will take like 6 months. And before 6 months, they would have bounced back again. So I think it's just our problem. Nigeria, as we own it, what are we benefiting directly? Remember the subsidy, this is time for subsidy. This should have been time for what? For temporary subsidy. Because now that the thing is going up globally, you're supposed to push in the effect locally so that there's subsidy and it doesn't affect Nigeria. But they said there's no subsidy. I don't know how true that is.
Anyway, still on the Israel-Iran war. Now, Iran has voted to close Strait of Hormuz after U.S. strikes on nuclear facilities. What is the implication on this around the international or global?
Right. It's going to affect supply chain. And anything that affects supply chain affects price of goods and services. You know, that corridor is where eventually pass. But now they have to go and turn around. It's not that they cannot still access where they want to go, but they have to go and turn, you know, around again. And in terms of turning around again, that means they will incur more costs. You understand? Incurring more costs means they will transfer the cost to Nigeria, to citizens of the whole world. So that means the supply chain process has been broken and it has to be extended the more. So we should brace up for much more.
But does it have that power, knowing the implication it has on the international market?
Well, the fact is that if you say, you know, in life, everybody wants to hold on to what he has power on. It's also a negotiating power for him as well. You know, you can tell the whole world that if you don't tell America to subside in the way they are attacking me, and look at, you also pay the price. And you don't blame him to, you know, when you have last resort, you will resort back to your last resort.
It's interesting. Well, anyway, we'll see how this plays out. Moving ahead, there has been surge of insecurity across, especially in that same Benue, where the president visited less than 48 hours after. There was also other killings in Plateau, and of course, we heard of a suicide bombing incident.
I don't know why we are not talking about Enugu. Enugu is also facing serious killings. Over 140 people are dying, and it's quite tragic too. So then we'll talk about Borno. You know, this government, I don't see them being conscious about security. You know, when you keep on doing the same thing that your predecessor did, you didn't do your own.
You expect to get different.
You cannot get different results. So I expect them to actually change. You know, you recall during Benue, he stood those security up and was asking them. I think they are just playing to gallery. But there are some things you talk behind and tell them that please take action, and they will take action. But when we come to the media and we are saying, you, IG, you have not arrested anybody. You, Musa, you are doing well. You know, there's some things that has to do it in the room that you tell them. Because for me, if you say, ask me, we cannot have this level of military. Do you know we spend more on our
defense
security
budget?
So much. So, and we are not seeing to Kano that we buy. Is there lying low? In fact, they said it's not even a fighter jet. You know, we started hearing some theory again. Yes, I just got to hear that it's not even a fighter jet. So that simply means we are not ready to solve the problem. And I always say that we should go beyond kinetic approach to non-kinetic. All these things can be preempted if we have that our ear on the ground and our intelligence is actually working. And I also say another thing. It is not too much for you to invest in infrastructure, especially security infrastructure. This age, it is much more of technology, not carrying gun, you know, to actually attack. So if I have a proper technology, there could be an alarm that would have shown that something is actually wrong somewhere. We need to do more. Not until they come to attack close to Abuja. It now starts. You recall, it was after Abuja attack that they went to put CCTV. That is even not working up till now. You know, a country
but
like
what is actually the way out? Because you just talked about a non-kinetic factor or angle to it. We see a situation whereby the military or even the state governments have absorbed of these insurgency states have absorbed the repentant Boko Haram, but it's not working. We are still hearing situations whereby these repentant, so-called repentant terrorists still go back to commit havoc.
Well, until we are very, very decisive, when you caught a terrorist, you treat the person like a terrorist. You don't give that person another chance. You know, because once you give them another chance, they become an agent again, because they believe that they can also give information. Before you know, they will go back to where they actually coming from. For me, I think that's one thing. We must be decisive in our decision. The other thing is that we must still go back to state police. If you don't go to state police, what is happening now in Benue, in Plateau, will continue to happen. Because if you have, what do we mean by community policing? That simply means somebody around you is guiding you. So when you have the confidence that this person is a security person and is around us, and he's telling you that don't kill this person, you know that he's going to give account of whatever you do. Because now those people that are killed in between the Zaria to Jos, those people they don't have help. Immediately that thing happens, they ran into a wrong place and they were actually. So for me, I will canvas heavily more for because our fear is that governor will hijack it. But let that be another level of problem to solve. Let's solve the primary problem and let people stop dying like chicken or fowl. It's quite sad.
It's sad and pathetic. All right, thank you so much. Next time we'll be talking about this mega political party. I think next time on our program, ADA. Unfortunately, INEC has not received the letter for the registration. Well, so on this note, we conclude today's Inside Nigeria, brought to you on Leadership Television. I had the pleasure of having company today. My modern guest is a political economist and public affairs analyst, Dr. Ali Elias. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
So until I come your way again, same time, same station, tomorrow for another fresh edition of the program. Thanks for joining us. My name is Winifred Ugbebo. Thank you.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158.